same, most likely week after week. It's a very kind of monotone experience, and that volunteer breaks the week up. Yeah, and gives them that bond, really. That's the human interaction that you might be missing. That's the biggest thing, I think. And then volunteers get all kinds, don't they, really? They get a lot of experience for the CV, for future jobs, and also to help them decide what they actually want to do.
I've been with them for nearly a year now. I got sent an email to my university account just to say a bit about the charity and what they do, saying that they needed some more volunteers. I've visited, I'd say, 4 or 5 residents over the 18 months, but it's been continuous with Gladys. She's in her late 80s. She had a stroke a couple of years ago, so she moved at home because she couldn't really live independently anymore. And she's just a real character. Like, you could go there and sit there for probably 4 hours and she'd just keep talking. Like, she's brilliant. Initially, I will be honest, it was kind of to go on my CV, you know, voluntary experience looks really good, but that didn't really last for very long, you know, just to go on my CV, because I really enjoy it, and it's actually contributed a lot to deciding that I do want to work with adults. I think actually the last couple of months it's become more of a friendship.
I wanted to go and kind of do something in an environment that's a bit forgotten, really, and something that I myself haven't really thought about before. Just doing this, I've been talking to my sister about it a lot, and she wants to go volunteer now.
I heard about them on the internet. I'm going to start my masters in September to do social work, because I needed experience, so I decided to do it for my masters, really, and I enjoy it. She's 93. She's had an interest in life. I love hearing about her stories. At first, when I went to see her, she didn't really recognise me the first few times, and she thought that it was like a hassle for me to come there. I think she quite likes me now. She calls it Georgie's Day.
So, you just go the weekend?
Yeah. And then my parents are coming to see me tomorrow.
Are they?
I've met her daughters once. That was on my first session. They said it does give them a break to know that someone's with her, really.
Like, we knew the residents as they were at the moment, whereas the people that probably knew them how they maybe were before would find it so much harder to do what L4A does. That's why I think it's a really good project, because it's people that maybe are a little less attached to the person, so can sort of cope emotionally.
We know one man, he had a wonderful volunteer, and they saw each other every day, and he passed away, but before he was passing away he would always say, you know, how grateful he was.
It was a bit upsetting at first, and I'd thought that I'd had a really good session, and then I'd go back the next week and didn't get recognised. Then I'd feel a bit disheartened, I suppose, because I'd think, oh, I had fun last week and I remember it all and you don't. But then I've learnt not to take it personally, and now when I go they say little things that makes me think that maybe they do remember me a little bit. The last time I went, both of my residents said, oh, I've met you a few times, haven't I? I think when I last went to go and see Edith and we decorated the little boiled eggs, that was really good. And she laughed really hard while we were doing it, especially when I stuck the eyes on the egg, and then she was jiggling it around and she was laughing. And then we were decorating it to look like a rabbit, and she looked up and said, I know you, don't I? And then I thought, oh, yes you do. And she said, you've come to visit me before, haven't you? Have we made things before? And that was really nice. I felt like I'd achieved something then.
The best bit was probably just the sense of humour.
Yeah.
Even though they might have like lost memories, they still are able to joke, and like
some of the stories are fascinating, and like we did have a laugh like most weeks, didn't we, with the residents? It was really nice.
Yeah.
When you see like a volunteer and a resident getting really well, and you see that kind of warmth and the smiles, like that's really nice, and you know that you know you're doing your job right, you know that the bonds are being created.
In her past, she was really interested in knitting, so she's taught me how to knit, and I think that makes it a lot more of a kind of I don't know, a real thing, because it's not me just going and being, you know, listening to her stories or whatever, you know, just being nice and just sitting there. It's an actual exchange. We've done some like cake decorating together, because she used to do that as well. She's got a book of photos of cakes she's decorated. And sometimes we do just chat, you know, we'll just sit in a room and chat for an hour or so. And I don't always want to do that, because it's, you know, it's meant to be
learning, but actually if someone's not feeling very well and they don't particularly want to get up and do stuff, you know, it's just nice to have a chat.
Do a bit of gardening, occasionally watch a few DVDs, but mainly recently all I do is just chat to her. That's all she wants, just tells me what she's been up to. And I knew that she really enjoyed gardening, so I brought everything there, and I brought loads of different bulbs for her to choose which one she wanted to grow. And she really enjoyed it. Every week I go in and water her bulbs and see how much they've grown.
Andrew is the gentleman that I see downstairs, and he used to be an architect. Often I'll bring something and he'll draw, because he still likes drawing, he's really good. He says he's not good, but he is really good. Other times we'll maybe read a newspaper together or talk about travelling, or sometimes I'll bring photos in of different buildings that I've seen. I started playing all these old songs that I never really knew, but they were all singing along to them and they remembered all the words. Even Joe, who never really speaks, and he got up and he was doing this little dance.
They had music on like every time we went round, and they'd be singing along to it and stuff, and it was a really nice atmosphere.
The research shows with dementia in particular, it's really good. I don't know, they might say it kind of activates different parts of the brain. With Gladys actually, when we put on YouTube and the music come on and the videos, and you could see how it really took her back, and then she would start to talk about her memories. And
we got some of the songs that Gladys loved on YouTube, and we were swaying along and singing, and she had a bit of a tear in her eye actually, and it was just like, oh, you know, the power of the internet.
The lady that I see upstairs, her dementia's quite a lot further on than Andrew's, to the point where sometimes she'll forget who I am if I walk out the room and come back in. It's like starting for the first time every week. And if you had a bad day, you can just go in and with a smile on your face and everything will be fine. And if they're in a bad mood, you can get them out of it a bit easier.
That illness can sort of change someone so much from in such a short space of time. Like one resident one week would seem really like clear and coherent, the next week they'd be a completely different person, and I found that really difficult.
Some conversation was quite like easy and like with some of the residents, and others was a bit more kind of challenging, but we brought in like photographs and stuff for each resident about like hobbies and interests they had, and that helped to stimulate a conversation with each of them.
One man really loved Shire horses, so every week we sort of took in a load of photographs and sort of looked through them. He used to work at brewers as well, so we sort of talk about that and taking just photographs. I think they were the most effective thing.
It was quite challenging, wasn't it? Because we didn't really know what to expect, but it went really well. I think because each session is so different, you can't really plan it.
We had to restructure our plans and ideas, but definitely for the best, because he took the lead role in many ways and told us far more interesting stories.
It is a bit difficult. I think it's a bit upsetting as well. I spoke to one woman who I used to do life histories, you know, just to find out a little bit about themselves, and she couldn't remember the names of her children, which I thought was really sad.
It's definitely been really difficult,
Yeah.
but it's been like things that are worthwhile aren't easy.
One lady I was seeing, I'd been seeing her for about a year, and then I came back after Christmas and she passed away, and you know, it is natural, like, it's what happens, but it is really sad as well. I think things like L4A, especially with the ageing population, you know, there's going to be so many more people living longer. I just think if everyone could just do a little bit, then it would really just make a lot of people's lives a lot better.
It makes being somewhere that you don't really want to be a bit more enjoyable. It's somebody that had an important role in our society at some point, and they've helped do things and they've added to our community. It's important to be able to give something back to people that have helped us out.
More needs to be done to encourage volunteers, specifically in a care home environment.
I personally feel like it's probably one of the best experiences I've had at university. I've really enjoyed it. It's not, you know, it's been challenging, but I think that's a good thing as well, and I've learnt a lot from it.
It's the fact that you can form such a close relationship, like to have one-on-one contact.
I just hope it continues and hope it works, because it's really needed, like more than ever. You know, they say this cliche of the ageing population. Well, it's true. We're not just doing it for the residents, which we are obviously, but also when people start to think about their relatives and ourselves, because one day we're going to be in that position.
Yeah, it's really humbling. I found it so humbling. because then I, you know, go and see the residents, and then I get into my car, drive off, go and do my fun things, or my, you know, learn at uni or whatever, and it's just such a privilege to be able to do all those things. It's really made me appreciate my life and all the things that I can do.